Let me start by asking you a question. Have you ever wanted to undo your collaborator's contribution, but you ultimately decided not to because you felt uncomfortable making those changes? Well, what if the collaborative artifact was a co-curated music playlist? Would it be more difficult to justify the changes you want to make because there's no clear right or wrong answer, or because it's a matter of personal preference and taste? I'm So-Yeon Park, and I'll be presenting the work that Sang-Won Lee and I have conducted, Lost in Co-Curation, Uncomfortable Interactions, and the Role of Communication in Collaborative Music Playlists. To give you a bit of background, a collaborative playlist, or CP, is a list of songs that multiple users have created and modified using a digital platform such as Spotify or YouTube. And the image you see here is Spotify's CP interface. On this, you can create a CP by first creating a personal playlist and then making it collaborative. And the interface also shows who has added each song to the playlist. As with many collaborative artifacts, there are different perceived ownerships around CPs, which then impact our engagement with them. Some individuals may spend much more time and effort in the CPs than others. For example, adding songs daily or making an album cover for the CP. And this can lead to a perception of individual ownership towards the playlist. Others recognizing this individual ownership might feel awkward or uncomfortable to make changes to the CP, such as changing the name of it. Others not recognizing this and perceiving equal ownership might take actions on the CP that are uncomfortable for the individual who perceives it to be theirs. Yet comfort is key to the collaboration. It is a factor that hinders or supports collaboration, and people first need to feel comfortable to collaborate for a collaboration to then be active, which has been found to be an indicator of successful CPs. Therefore, we set out to answer this question. How comfortable do collaborators feel interacting with a collaborative playlist? For this, we conducted a study evaluating comfort for 3 different actions of adding, deleting, and reordering songs in 3 CP scenarios. For the scenarios, we considered 2 dimensions of who initially creates it and who acts upon it. Populating the 2 by 2, we got 4 options, and of these, we chose to consider 3 scenarios that involve the participant, or I. For example, I create others act for the action of adding songs was operationalized as my collaborator adding songs in a CP that I created 1 month ago and made collaborative. As another example, others create I act for the action of deleting songs was operationalized as me deleting songs in a playlist that my collaborator created 1 month ago and then made collaborative. With this survey design, we garnered 100 responses from CP users who are recruited through mTurk. And we found that comfort levels vary with CP action and scenario, as shown in this figure of comfort means. In particular, we found deleting songs that were added by someone else was uncomfortable, while all other actions were mostly in the comfortable range. Differences in means were also found within the action of deleting songs. Deleting songs added by someone else was uncomfortable, whereas deleting songs that I or the participant added was considered moderately comfortable. This shows perceived ownership occurring at the song level, of attributing ownership to the person who has contributed the song. We also found that comfort in reordering songs depends on scenario. Others reordering songs in a playlist that I started, indicated in blue, is more comfortable than me reordering songs in a playlist that someone else has started, indicated in green. In other words, I find it more uncomfortable to take certain actions than to have these actions done unto me. This shows perceived ownership also occurring at the CP level. And one thing to note here is we never use the word ownership in describing these actions or scenarios. For actions, we specified who had added the song, and for scenarios, we specified who had initially started the CP and then made collaborative. But our results clearly show that perceptions of ownership were indeed present. We conducted k-means clustering on the data upon noticing different sentiments in participants' text responses as to why they felt comfortable or uncomfortable. And here we find that there is a stark difference between the two clusters in how they feel about deleting others' additions. Those in cluster 1 constituted 2/3 of the participants. And as you can see indicated in purple, they felt slightly to moderately uncomfortable deleting other song additions because they felt it was rude, mean, wrong, offensive, and invasive, and it could also insinuate poor taste in music. However, those in cluster 2, who constituted 1/3 of the participants, indicated in orange, felt slightly to moderately comfortable because they felt that was the purpose of the CP, to have equal ownership and equal rights to take any action, including deleting other songs without any hesitations. This can be especially problematic if those in cluster 1 and cluster 2 are collaborating together, as they have different expectations and might not even be aware of these differences. This can lead to different interpretations of the same actions and could even further lead to misunderstandings. To understand whether a communication channel embedded in the playlist context would be helpful in mediating collaborators' discomfort and differences, we conducted a follow-up survey study. In this study, we used looks-like interfaces, similar to that of Spotify CPs, except we used different colors to be associated with each collaborator so that our participants could easily see their contributions. The interface also had a chat box feature on the right to give users an idea of how an interface with a communication channel would look like. We walked the participants through the experience of interacting with the CPs with mock interactions. For example, we used a drag and drop implementation of different song titles associated with the artists in the survey, as this is how reordering of songs in CPs is implemented in Spotify. We evaluated comfort of the same 3 actions of adding, deleting, and reordering songs, but this time in 2 CP scenarios that involve the participants' actions. I create, I act, and others create, I act. We garnered 67 survey responses from CP users, again recruited through mTurk. When we asked participants how much their comfort would change with a communication channel present, we found that overall they would feel slightly more comfortable. However, this was not the case for deleting other songs, regardless of the scenario. Participants' means average around no change at all in their comfort for deleting other songs, even with a communication channel present. Yet, when we ask their agreement to the statement of, I would want to communicate my action with my collaborators, we found that their communication desire for deleting other songs was greatest after mock interactions. We also conducted k-means clustering with these responses and found that the majority, or 57% of our participants, agreed slightly to moderately with this statement across all actions, showing a clear desire to communicate. From our results, we derived 4 design considerations. The first being, collaborators may have conflicting views on CP ownership. Some may assume equal ownership, whereas others assume individual ownership. And there might be conflicting views on individual ownership, which could be directed towards songs or the CP itself. Second, some actions speak louder than others and turn CPs into laundry lists. For one, deleting other songs is the most uncomfortable action across many of our participants. Not being able to delete songs then turns the CP into a long list, and the sheer quantity of songs in a playlist has been found as a deterrent to interacting with it, which curbs further engagement. Third, we found that people are more okay with receiving an invasive action than taking one themselves. And by not taking these kinds of actions, they may also be hindering their own engagement in CPs. And last but not least, communication channels for CPs are desirable and can ease discomfort around CP actions, as they can be a promising way to help mediate differences between users. So what kind of socio-technical platforms do we wish to design for our users? We hope that our work has shed light on this question, and in particular, we hope to prompt researchers to continue such user investigations, and we hope to encourage designers to apply insights from our work into their platforms to provide more seamless user-user collaborations. Thank you very much.